Our own political right is quite deep into its, the press is the enemy of the people phase. This weekend is the White House Correspondents Association dinner, which the last president didn't go to his whole time in office, and not just because of COVID. It's because the last president literally campaigned against there being a free press. He literally campaigned on that enemy of the people phrase, which he borrowed from Stalin. This weekend, for the first time in 3 years, the Correspondents' Dinner is back on after being shut for COVID. The Biden White House is getting a little bit of a hard time, understandably, about the fact that President Biden is planning to go to the dinner in person. It's understandable. They're getting a hard time for that. It's a controversial decision. It's going to be like 2,000 plus people in an indoor ballroom. The president is 79. The vice president currently, right now, already has COVID. I mean, I get it in terms of why COVID concerns are enough to make you maybe not want to see President Biden attend this event in person this weekend. On the other hand, I see the other side. It does mean something, and something important in this moment now, both domestically and for our role in the world. It means something for a U.S. president to show up, to stand for the press, to stand with the press. Even as the press, I'm sure, drives this president just as bananas as we have every other president and politician since the dawn of time. That's what we do. But right now, it's particularly important for a U.S. president to stand with the press, because there really is an opposing side here, right, from the other side of American politics.
Now, we have a lot of fake news back there, these fake news.
I'm talking about the fake news media. They are truly an enemy of the people.
The fake news media, right back there.
It's the enemy of the people. Our media is the enemy of the people. It's very, very dangerous what they do.
The repetition is part of the point here. The repetition is part of how that works. The repetition is how it stops seeming shocking and starts seeming like something you've heard before, something that resonates. And that has sunk in. And doing that for that long, right, doing that for the last 7 years, that has sunk in. That has changed things. I mean, at this point, there are not going to be any debates between the next two candidates in the next presidential election. The Republican Party says they're done. They're not doing that anymore because, whether or not the Republican Party's presidential candidate next time around is going to be Donald Trump, the party itself has decided this year that they can no longer abide the fact that it is reporters who ask questions at presidential debates. And so, therefore, there will be no presidential debates in 2024. It's a remarkable decision. And it's on the basis of the fact that the press is involved in asking the questions. The Republican Party can no longer abide that. It's less controversial. It's received way less attention than that. But in Republican-controlled states this year, we've seen a whole rash of new rules and new restrictions put in place that ban reporters from covering state governments, from covering state legislatures. In Utah, in Kansas, in Iowa, when they decided to ban reporters from the Iowa legislature this year, it broke what was otherwise a 140-year unbroken tradition. For 140 years, it worked to have reporters in there asking legislators questions. This year, with this Republican Party, that no longer works. Reporters are banned. Last fall, the Republican governor of Missouri, Mike Parson, asked state law enforcement to pursue criminal charges against a local reporter in Missouri because that reporter reported accurately on a security flaw in the state's computer systems. The governor actually got state law enforcement to investigate that reporter for months, as if there was some crime in that reporting. They actually tried to bring charges against the reporter, but no prosecutor would do it. I didn't actually think it would get much worse than what we saw from Governor Mike Parson in Missouri. But then this week, hello, California, the Fox News darling conservative sheriff of Los Angeles County convened a press conference in which he put a reporter's photo up on a big poster. You see him pointing to it there with a pointy stick. The sign says, what did she know and when did she know it? And he pointed out that reporter who was, in fact, covering that press conference from the first row at that moment. He said she was going to be the subject of a criminal investigation for this dastardly reporting she was doing on scandals in the sheriff's office. In addition to putting up her photo, he put up a list of alleged crimes he was pretty sure this reporter might have committed by doing this reporting on scandals in his office. Now, we covered that story earlier this week here on this show. We can report tonight that after a righteous and furious pushback, that sheriff is now pretending he never did that. It's one thing to change your mind and say, oh, my bad, I got carried away. Another thing to say, me? No, I didn't do that, you dastardly people, for saying I did. Let's all forget that happened. How about we don't? But this idea that there's a supposed terrible threat from the press, that reporters aren't just irritating to people in power, but actually criminal, that the free press is a threat that must be destroyed, physically destroyed. I mean, this is something that we should get fluent in. I mean, this is an issue that is not hiding its light under a bushel, right? This is not something that you really have to go looking too hard for. I mean, on January 6th, they really did carve the phrase "murder the media" into the U.S. Capitol. They left that behind. Presumably, they meant it. This is a thing we should be able to see clearly by now. I mean, even when they're doing it in a way that's more stupid than scary, it's the same thing. It is a tactical pattern that we should see, recognize, and be able to discuss and be able to think clearly about.